Super coaches, we have a little bit to go through, obviously, with our buy, hold, sell this week and potential backups in our super coach sides. And it's a week where you got to look at your trades, right? Obviously, always, but it's different to fantasy. And fantasy can obviously use 4 trades for the rest of the year per week. In super coach, I've been looking at my side here, and I've got 18, right, for 11 rounds to go. And it's a little bit less than obviously 2 per week, but if I was to have a few more weeks of saving trades, you can only do 2 per week. So the max you can do right now with 3 in round 19. So you only the 1 week you can have that extra trade, right? Unless you have any boosts left. So I don't have any boosts. I can't use a 3rd in any of those weeks or a 4th in round 19. So the max trades you can use right now is 23. So that's something you've got to have a look at in your own side. If you're sitting at 23 trades right now, you'll get to and no boost. You'll get to a point where you actually end up banking trades for the year, and that becomes a mistake, obviously, there. So any marginal upgrades, if you're sitting at 20 or above right now, I think is a good idea. I'm sitting at 18, so I'm getting closer to a point where marginal upgrades are going to be the play. And it's actually wild that we can be sitting there with 18, 19, 20 trades, and usually you'd say, oh, that's not not a lot, but most people have used all their boosts, and if you haven't, that obviously helps you out in a around 20 or a 21 or something like that. And if you're in the same situation as myself, that's something I want to note, that if I do happen to only make 1 or 1 trade a week for a couple of weeks, or only use 2 in round 19 there, then you're basically double trading the rest of the way, which is cool in a way. But you've also got to look at, is this week a week to get a random cash out that's not playing? Like, it's only round 19 now where I think you're going to struggle to field a 17 or a solid 17 at that. Or potentially later round of 23 or 24, whenever Roosters have a bye, they might be a team. If you're sitting with Dom Young, Manu, Teddy, Crichton, Terrell May, these types of players there, that you might end up in a little bit of strife. But outside of that, I do think a cash out is a pretty good idea in the next few weeks, whether that's now, whether that's round 19, or you get that player that likely doesn't play anymore after round 19. That's definitely a clear spot to do it. It's a spot I'll be looking to do it as well. I think a couple of cash outs is a good way to play that that aren't playing, definitely. Come the end of the rounds, when you got 23 out of 25 playing players, will work out well with a few on a buy each week, sits you down to about 20, 21, and then you have enough trades to move on from guys that end up with injuries longer term, and enough trades from round 19, 20 where you can get Nico Hines back, you can get the Crichtons, the Isaiah Yo's, you can get a Payne Haas up top in front row forward, you can get the Latrells in your side along with Teddy and these types of players as well. So just wanted to touch on some strategy to kick off this video, because everyone's going to be different. If you're sitting at 13 trades right now, then you're only a tick over 1 a week, which isn't ideal at all, and you're probably looking to save a potential trade or something like that. So have a look at your side, see where your players are at, and who would you be looking to potentially move on from. So I think at this point, with round 19 being pretty tough, anyone that does play in that week right now, unless they're losing bulk cash, are a hold. So you could look at Brayley there and go, oh, well, he's pretty gross there at 408k. He's still a decent price. I could move him on. The only way I would move on from Brayley is if you're upgrading. So if you were trying to go up to a Coruscant or Reed Marnie and those types of guys, obviously someone that playing, trading around 19 player for another, like a Coruscant, would work out well. I wouldn't be downgrading him, though. I don't think there's anyone clearly good enough that you would downgrade Brayley to. So that's just something to note. And obviously, when we're talking about those hookers, Brendan Hands has come into people's thoughts. But with him at the moment, he has Arthur on the bench now, who is a hooker as well. So we'll take some minutes from him. So he's obviously gained some cash as well. In the mid-range, it's probably only like Jacob Little that you could look at, that plays around 19, obviously. And then it's just go up to the top, or wait for a Harry Grant come round 20 or 21, who's going to be very, very cheap. He's basically cheaper than Coruscant now, which is crazy how that one's played out, with Coro having a pretty rough sort of 6 weeks in there after he started really well, and then he's come out and done good stuff. In the front row forward position, you could look at Curran and go, well, he just had a shocker last week, and I think you give him another crack, and that's likely what I'll be doing this week. If Willison is to get a lot of minutes here, with Carrigan and Haas potentially, sitting out this one. Carrigan played 70 minutes. Haas was 54, and they both have to travel back to Brisbane and then travel to New Zealand. So if they weren't to play, you could play Willison, and he's someone you definitely don't want to be selling because he might play good minutes this week. He'll play around 19 and 20 there as well. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, current, even Hughes right now, 303. He is a player. He's obviously, he's going to be out there. If you do get in a bind in the last round or two, I think that he's an interesting guy that you can just hold for the season and he'll get you some type of score in those weeks. Obviously, round 19, he's not going to help you. Round 20 might be a help. Obviously, if you're a little bit short in that week, similar to that of this week here with, a bunch of teams on the bye there. So he's an interesting one at 303k. I don't think you're going to get enough benefit of dropping down from Hughes. So yeah, it's Terrell May's a clear hold. Adam Finnell-Blake's getting really cheap at 667. He'll go down again this week, and he'll be one of those top tier keepers, averaging 71 for the season, but that 34 in amongst that lower score a couple of weeks ago as well. Hurts him and his situation. Tarpany's on the way up, so it's important to get these guys at the right timing as well. So Adam's on the way down. Mitch Barnett's been scoring really well. He's on the way up in recent history, 84.7. His recent average. Stefano at 576 is on the way up after 2 really good games in a row. He's a bit of an up and down type of player at the moment. He had that little run earlier where he got expensive, got back down to 530 odd, and now he's back up again. So up a little bit anyway. So nothing crazy at all on that front. Anyone other than that, really up top, I don't think you'd be looking to buy other than like a Samuela Fainu there with the 517k. So he's that mid-range that you could definitely grab there. Payne Haas is down 43k on the year, so he's someone you could look at. Jensen, if you've got him, you're holding clearly. So yeah, outside of probably Samuela in that 500-ish K range, and then up a little bit higher to Stefano, who does get a few guys back with Clemmer, potentially Bateman as well. They're probably the only guys I would look at this stage. Someone like Nafahu White, he's done his dash. Unfortunately, the last 2 games haven't been good for him, and he's a bench guy from here on with Watson to play 13 or 9 with Smithy. And yeah, I'd be looking to move him on. If you do own him, that would be who I'd trade him over Hughes just because of the extra cash that you can get out of him as well. For the 2 RFs, it's a bit of a strange one right now because Smithy's is a sell at 413k. You can easily remove him from your side. Kai Pearce-Paul obviously plays around 19 compared to that of Smithy's. He's more expensive. Break-even's at 52, so it's not crazy at all, but he's also at a good price where you could move him on. Would you trade him to Nikora? It's a 50-50 one that, like, Kai Pearce-Paul could stay on the bench and lose a lot of cash and not get a good score this week. And that's my kind of worry in my team is that I have Fafita Fermor and then Smithy's who, we're not likely to get a good score out of him. So do I just hold this week and play Kai or play Smithies and cop that average score, 30 to 50, likely with those guys? Or do I make a move? Obviously, Nicker is the clear guy you can make a move on. Katoa, Plath, easy holds for Feeder and Beaufort. I think easy holds as well. At this point, they play around 19, those two and Plath, so that's really, really important. In our 2RF, do you need more than 3 playable for round 19? Probably not. I think if you can get 14 on the park across all of your positions in round 19, that'll be good enough. Let's just say that. And guys like Keon Kolomatangi are easy purchases next week if you want to go there. That's 678. It's not the craziness that it could be in the 700s after some big games there for sure. But he also has Murray. He played so well last night, and he's a good chance to come back and play in that 13 role. And Keon loses some minutes, or he goes back to the edge or something like that. So there are a few worries on Keon, but obviously round 19, he'll be good to go for a good score as well. So he's definitely someone to look at. Crichton, will he back up this week? I reckon it's 50-50. Jeremiah Nanai played well again last night, getting another try. Missed a few tackles, obviously, but he's getting rested this week. So I think you can easily sell him if you needed to, but he's also scoring fairly well when he does get out in the park for the Cows. He's going to miss this week, miss 19, miss 23, whenever they have their bye as well. So keep that in mind for him. Hopgood needs to be sold. McInnes is an interesting one. He's a little bit low in recent history, but will still be super solid. And then guys like Tohu Harris have gotten really cheap at 527, which is big there as well. Ooh, all right. Official. Hammer will miss round 17 for the Dolphins. Good for Treyful owners. And go for scans on an AC joint injury. Hammer now won't play till Origin 3 at the earliest, with the Finns having a round 18 bye, which is cool. That hopefully, I think with the bye really helps that he should be able to be a good chance at returning for that Origin 3. But hopefully the scans go well for him. We don't want to see him. It was in that hit, unfortunately, from Crichton when he passed the ball. He popped down on that. So he's just showing the video. So check out that on Twitter and NRL Physio on that one there. Eisenhuth is an interesting one now. He's got through the round 16 bye. He will play round 19. He's got 515k. So he's very, very cheap for what he can bring to the table. 61 average his last 3 and is a very safe type of player unless he gets moved out to the centres. And we know that has happened a fair bit this season. But he's obviously cheaper than Britton. If you need someone around that price who can cover between centre wing and obviously second row forward as well, then that's helpful. Maybe you've got Aiken down below and then you can have Eisenhuth and they can switch between, which would be really cool there for sure. They both play 19, but Eisenhuth misses 20, so you can do some things there, which is cool. Kaipi Sport, we already spoke about. Britton Nicker at 570, I think is a really good buy this week. Obviously has the upside and has a nice run coming up outside of this Dogs game. It does get a lot easier for him. So if you had the choice between Samuela and Britton, I would go for Britton, even though he's a little bit more expensive. Guys like Bloor, you probably hold on to for another week or two, but it hasn't been great for him on that side. Connor Watson at 672. Not the worst shout, but obviously misses 19. He's backing up this week. Didn't play a lot of minutes, so it was good to see him out there. But he's still an easy one that you could look at in that hooker, / 2RF position as well. So that's that spot there. It's an interesting one at the moment. Obviously, if you can get guys like Eli Katoa on your side, that's still a good idea. Wait till next week for Fafita. Those types of plays there. For the halfbacks, now this is a tough one because if you've got SJ, he's obviously a sell, but you don't have to do it this week. So keep that in mind. Over the next month, you're going to be wanting to get Nicho Hynes, a mixture of Nicho Hynes, Hughes. I think he's an easy keep this year. He's having a cracking season, averaging 105 his last 3, 78.7 overall. So he's been killer. If you're going straight off averages, he's the second highest averaging behind Nicho Hynes this year. So if you own him, there's no point selling him, I don't think, because he has that upside as well. Not the 150, 160 upside that Nicho and Cleary can have, but he's been absolutely dominant until Munster comes back at a minimum. He's the clear hold. And then obviously, Cleary down to 62 average and will continue to go down in price for a little bit longer. That's for sure when he comes back. But around 20 is when he's returning most likely. So Walker's an easy hold at the moment. Like if you're in my situation, Hughes and Walker. But if you're in Johnson situation, would you buy a Walker or a Hughes? I think you can still buy Jerome. But at 802k, you'd probably just go for Nicho, given he plays around 19 there. I think that's probably the decision this week. Even though he'll lose some cash, I reckon that's the way. Otherwise, it's easy to hold Johnson at 493 and just wait because you've got guys like, and if you're a Wishart owner and stuff like that as well, you've got him for another couple of weeks and then he's going to be a sell. So in that scenario, you'd be just going straight to Nicho. So just play it by ear on that one. You can obviously move like Brown to halfback as well if you need to do that. If you got Galvin and Brown in that 5/8 position, you're not touching them. Obviously there, Campbell's out for a couple of weeks. I think hold him if he's in that spot or even if in fullback. It's worth holding on. Obviously you had a massive score, 170. And if he's back in 19, that'll be super helpful for you. Munster to come back eventually. If you got Burton, I think you clearly hold on to him. Just a tough week for him. If you got Weeks, keep holding on for another week, no pun intended. And just work out what's going to happen with him. Galvin's been good, as I said. Walker, got the bye this week. Strange, hold on to him for another week or so. I think for him, really not too much else to say in 5/8. So I think you're just holding steady on all those. Like you might have Plath in that position. That's cool. Keep him there as well. And then the centre wing. So Holmes, I'm a little bit worried about. He had 38 tackle attempts, to make some misses. And obviously it was against Latrell and he ragdolled him a little bit like he did Reece Walsh. So it was a tough night out for Holmes. Got whacked a few times and hopefully he's good enough to back up on Sunday. It is a decent enough turnaround. And I'll be, hoping and cheering that he does back up for the Cows, although it is against the Panthers, so if he does happen to miss it, could be also better for him for round 18, but you could also use him as a trade bargaining chip. If he does miss this week, it's 17, 19, 23, which might be enough for you to move him on at that price, but who do you trade him to, I suppose, is the question. I got Aiken, Asako, Iro, Strange, Tungo, and Garrick. A few people looking at Isaac Tungo this week. If you do have Meany, I don't mind him as a sell, given he's got a calf issue. He might be out for the next few weeks. Could just be one. But if it's the next few weeks, it's 17, 18, 19. He's just been a little bit off, and we really want him for this week against Canberra. Not to be. So that's frustrating there for sure. And the, I'm all the way about mid-tier there. Lomax looks like he might miss this week as well with the bursa, the issue that he had. And then it goes down to Manu at 677. So he's on the slide at the moment, price-wise, which is good, for non-owners. Karaz got 100 last week. He now stabilizes his price drop. And guys like Dominic Young at 712 aren't the worst shouts either. So anything, Karaz got through the tougher matchup last week in centers. He did a great job. So you've got Manu, Karaz, Dom Young, all really solid buys. Obviously with all three of those guys, they don't play round 19, which is a little bit tough. And then if you're holding Garrick, please continue to do so. Hammer looks like he's going to miss the next 3 weeks minimum. So I think he's a sell at 604. Get rid of him. Unfortunate for that. Herbie, 693, lost 10K last week. Still in a solid position. I think Dan Gogai is a real solid guy to target at 627. There is a chance that he plays Origin though if Hammer isn't right. So maybe wait on those scans and see how that one plays out as well. And then Ronnie at 492 is the big potential purchase this week. Has such a good run. I think the way you got to look at with Ronnie is that he had such a great start to the year, and it might not be a winner this week, but you kind of just want to be on him, because if you hold him in your team for the next 3 months, odds are he's going to have a couple of massive games in amongst some lower ones for sure. That's just the way he is, but you don't want to miss out on those big ones. So just be along for the ride and expect he's averaging 53 over his last month, 45 over the last 5. So his price has dropped into that sort of 50s range. So expect him to at least hit his average of 65 for the year, for the rest of the year, with the nice matchups that he's got. And that would mean, you'd be really happy with that at the price point that you're getting him at, right? I do expect that Ronnie will have a better back end of the season than Isaac Tungo that I own as well. And Ronnie is definitely someone that I'm potentially looking at as a trade in for my own team this week, as a singular trade. Maybe Smithies, just want to improve my 2RF, so I'll potentially be trading out Smithies, and that will mean Aiken will go up to the second row, and I will bring in Ronnie into that CT dub position, and I won't have to play Kaipi's ball, which will be helpful for this week, right? And that helps with another number for round 19 as well. I think I'm at close to 12 at this point, so yeah, that's solid. Dylan Lucas is 633, so he's lost a little bit of cash there, and ends up in a pretty solid position if he's going to continue starting. He's got the 2RF and the CT dub tag as well. So 633K for him. You got Gagai there, but Lucas isn't a worry to make Origin. So yeah, it's pretty interesting there on his front. Hold Talangi, hold Iro, these types of guys there. Suafalunga, you could obviously sell this week if you want to at 532. It's a good number. He may also play this week, and you would like to own him and play him against Canberra. That's for sure. The way things are going in Canberra at the moment. So that's the center wing right now. And then the fullback position, if you're in the position of myself, Tedesco and Drinkwater, I think you just hold that one there. Make it really, really simple for yourself. You got Latrell out. I'm not sure if Edwards will back up. He's been named, but he's so expensive. It's hard to grab right now, especially when you're wanting to look at a Hines or a Cleary in the next bunch of weeks. Like a mixture of Edwards, Latrell, Tedesco, and then if Turbo comes back well, are probably the guys you want to have a look at, and then potentially Kalen Ponga in the back end of the year. So I do think holding Drinky and Teddy is fine right now. Obviously, Drinky against the Panthers isn't the best idea in the world, but if you do have, if you hold on to Trey Fuller, he's likely to play, which is good. Fletcher Sharp, if you don't have 2-gun fullbacks right now, and you've got like an Iro or Garrick down there at fullback, they could be slid up to the center wing. If you want to get rid of one of your 2RFs, you can move someone up, or a center wing. Then you could bring in Sharp, and I think it's going to work out okay. But there is some whispers around that Ponga is probably going to come back in the next couple of weeks, either 18 or 19. There's some whispers around that for that, so interesting, that's for sure. Let me know what you think on that situation. There's some chatter as well about Weeks playing fullback this week, so who knows what's happening there. Gutho, still a bit of a awkward price, I think, for Gutho to be buying. Just the team's not playing that well, and he's obviously been carrying that injury to his knee. So yeah, that's probably all I want to say on the buy, hold, sell for SuperCoach this week. There's plenty to talk about. Obviously, if you're in head-to-head leagues and you need to get a win, look to be making some moves there. That's probably it. Thanks so much for being here, guys. We'll catch you in the next video.